I recently went to Mexico City to practice my Spanish, which sounds like it should be easy enough to do, but I am an anxious introvert, and going to one of the top 10 most populated cities in the world just sounded like a great idea. When planning trips, I usually schedule everything by the hour, which means there's not a lot of time for flexibility, but it does mean that I will take full advantage of all my time there since I don't know when the next time I'll be able to visit will be. This time I left my schedule wide open so that if I am in the middle of a conversation, I'm not going to have to cut it short because I have to be somewhere else. Having it that empty of a schedule for me was awful. I was 100% in my head even before I even got on the plane. How do I even start talking to people? What if I'm just annoying? What if I'm interrupting someone's day? On the other hand, these thoughts run through my head daily, even with friends, so this was gonna be great. I feel like I have to thank the flight seat assignment gods for seating me next to Claudia. She's from Mexico City, she's fluent in Spanish and English, and we just clicked. We spent the entire 2.5 hours talking non-stop about life and about travel and not having kids, and honestly she seemed like the most supportive badass aunt I never knew I needed. The next day I went to a coffee shop that Claudia recommended, and I was all ready to get my coffee and awkwardly sit in a corner people watching, but when I sat down with my breakfast, a man said something to me that I didn't hear or I didn't understand, or maybe both. So I moved a chair closer to him and his wife and was like, ¿Qué dijiste? And boom, conversation started. No problem. Martín and Teresa are a retired couple who are also regulars at this coffee shop, and we talked about their kids, Martín's furniture making, Teresa's at-home seafood restaurant, and life in Mexico City. A while later, they introduced me to another regular and friend of theirs, Mari, who, as it turns out, was going to the city center. And because Martín, Teresa, and I had been talking for so long, they knew I wanted to go there, and because I didn't have any set plans, Mari and I hopped on the trolebus al centro and I let her take the lead. We wandered through the Palacio de Bellas Artes, the Palacio de Correos, Mexico City Metropolitan Cathedral, and just walked around. I would have felt more uncomfortable about holding Mari up from something, but at the very beginning I told her a few times that if she had something to do or somewhere to go, then I would be just fine and I could manage on my own. But she insisted that she actually really liked these places and hadn't been in a while, and so we kept exploring together. For every restaurant, every street vendor, every time I had to ask for directions, I got like 1% more brave, a little less nervous, and while 1% doesn't sound like a lot, it's not nothing. I went to the gym this morning, and before I forget, when the person greeted me at the front desk, she said, "Bienvenida," and I said, "Bienvenida back," which, if you don't know, that means welcome. So I welcomed her when she welcomed me. I feel like I recovered relatively quickly, and I made better progress asking the fitness trainers for equipment recommendations. At El Péndulo, another place that Claudia recommended, I chatted briefly with this woman from Spain, and before I left, I asked her if she wanted to get a bite to eat. While she was working, we did exchange phone numbers, and I was just really proud of myself for asking and not talking myself out of it this time. On my last full day, Claudia, my fairy godmother, message to see how I was doing. She picked me up from the bookstore, took us out to dinner, and we talked for another 3 hours swapping life stories, and I feel like she is the kind of person I hope to become. She is kind, courageous, open-hearted, and a complete chingona. I went to Mexico to practice my Spanish, which I absolutely did, but I also learned a few things. Don't be so rigid with your schedule. If I had more planned, I wouldn't have been able to go to the centro with Mari. 2, you only need one thing in common, or maybe not even in common, to begin a conversation. It's a comment or a request or a compliment. People love compliments. And when I say people, I mean me. And lastly, try not to self-reject before I even get a chance to try something. In this case, talking to people. Assume good intentions. just assume people want to talk to me. I say this like I'll forever carry these lessons with me, but the fact of the matter is that I will probably be here rewatching my own video before my next trip to give myself an extra dose of encouragement. Y Claudia, si me estás mirando, eres la mejor y mi verdadera heroína. Gracias por todo. And if you're not Claudia, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!
Parmesan cheese, queso parmesano.
Let's skip that.
Yeah. Okay. Dile.